I'm going to talk about Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was one of the greatest people, greatest founders of this country. And the fake news says that he's a slave owner, so he's a bad person, and he should be erased from memory. For example, the DNC, the Democratic National Congress or Democratic National Committee, whatever they call it, was going to have an event in a building named after Thomas Jefferson. And because Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, they canceled the event. What the problem with this is that Thomas Jefferson did more than possibly anyone in the history of the world to end slavery. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. At the age of 14, his father died. His father owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson inherited slaves from his father. He was 21, I believe, when he received his full inheritance, and it's possible that he was 21 when he received his inheritance of slaves. There is documented proof in his writing, which was handwritten to, I guess it was his people that worked at his property, must have been a farm, where he tells them, you have to take care of the slaves and treat them well. He did not hate slaves. He was not pro-slavery. Thomas Jefferson went to court, which is a judiciary, to defend the rights of slaves, to file lawsuits or defend the rights of slaves, to end slavery for individuals or slavery as a whole. And he didn't do it just once. It was a part of his younger life. And he legislated to end slaves. That is Thomas Jefferson. He was anti-slavery. He did not become an owner of slaves because he had an ideology that he wanted to own slaves. He was against slavery. And having slaves and just saying, okay, all of you leave, well, maybe you think that's a great idea, but maybe the slaves didn't think that was a great idea. Maybe they wanted to stay with him. What's a slave going to do? If they don't have jobs and they don't have money, they don't have a place to live, and they don't have food, why would they leave? Especially if they were living a good life. I do not believe that the average slave lived a bad life. That's modern revisionism. In the 1980s, the average person did not believe that slaves were tortured and tormented and threatened every day. It was not a belief that we held in those times. And I will give more information as to why that I'm certain that it's just not true. There's isolated documentation where people say that, oh, my master beat me. Well, this is a slave who was a slave for the master for 30 years, and he says, one day my master pulled a gun on me. Well, that's not daily torment and daily torture. I've had guns pulled on me. I know what it's like. Other people have had that experience. I've been treated very poorly. My mother was a very abusive person. She abused me until the age of 18 and beyond. I know what it's like to be abused. Thomas Jefferson is a good person, and he's misrepresented by revisionists who want to say that he is pro-slavery or racist, and it's not true. A racist person does not say, treat these people well. And he obviously provided for people. I've met farmers in my life. Farmers are the nicest people that I have ever met. I do not know people that are nicer than farmers. They love animals and they love people. They're nice people. So people are going to say, well, no, Abraham Lincoln did more to end slavery. Well, I didn't say to end slavery. He did more for slaves. Thomas Jefferson. Abraham Lincoln was not the first person to propose ending slavery. It had been tried before him through legislation, and it's just very simply failed. Or it didn't get the outcome that Lincoln got. because Lincoln did a proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation, which did end slavery. And 20% of those slaves died within 5 or 10 years due to starvation and malnutrition and disease. So he actually did a great thing to end slavery, and was one of the greatest influences. Because of the creation of the United States, slavery ended worldwide. If the United States had not existed, slavery may have existed a lot longer. And I believe it was the 1950s when slavery was finally abolished in Africa. So anyone who thinks bad things about Thomas Jefferson, you're wrong. It's just revisionism.